Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining me once again today. My name is General Confusion, and welcome back to Warhammer 2. This might be the last of my my High Elf focus videos, because I think I'm getting a pretty solid handle on them. But anyway, this is the first really good match I've gotten of High Elves against Skaven. And of course, as you know, I really enjoy the Skaven. And I'm very wary of the Skaven, because if they can suck you into the right positions, they can be absolutely devastating. So, playing as Skaven, and I was on this map. This map with a huge belt of woods right along the middle. So as soon as I saw that, I thought, uh-oh, they're going to have plenty of cover. And it's going to be very, very difficult for me to deal with that. So I have deployed way out here in the open, kind of, sort of in the corner of the map. I'm not exactly corner camping, you know, I'm not pulling all the way back there, but I wanted to go down here because with this hill in front of me, my infantry have pretty good cover against warp lightning cannons. They would have to pull out of the woods in order to shoot at me, and I really don't want to fight Skaven in the woods because they have all small units pretty much, and I have some large units that are very key. So let's take a look at my army comp. My front line is composed of 3 spearmen, chevroned up a little bit for leadership and melee defense, and 1 swordmaster of Hoeth, which of course are very, very efficient at taking out infantry, whether armored or not. I have 1 unit of Phoenix Guard guarding my back line in case of rat ogres, hell pit abominations, and especially doom wheels. These guys are murder on doom wheels. I have 3 units of standard archers, not the Lothern Sea Guard, nothing like that, because I feel like I can protect them okay with my infantry, and I needed to free up the money, honestly. I am led by a prince, and I have just put him on a horse. I'm not taking the Dragon Prince in this matchup because the Skaven have such good options for shutting down flyers. If you bring 1 really expensive flyer against the Skaven, you're doomed, because that flyer is going to get shut down, netted with Howling Warp Gale, shot the crap out of. It'll be bad. If you bring 2 or 3 flyers, you might be able to use them effectively, because Skaven are vulnerable to terror. But I've just brought the Prince on the horse. He's cheap this way. I've got the Blade of Be'lakor Hadris, Stand Your Ground, Deadly Onslaught, and Foe Seeker. So most of his abilities. I have also brought a High Mage on a Chariot. And I really like the Chariot pick for High Elf heroes, especially against the Skaven, because that bonus versus infantry of 30 means that this mage can do incredible work in melee. 60 armor is decent, and the melee attack and melee defense just jump into the melee attack at least, just jumps into the stratosphere when you count in that 30 bonus versus infantry. It makes them very, very dangerous. Plus a 64 charge bonus, nothing to sneeze at. I've brought both of the magic boosts, the Starwood Staff and the Book of Hoeth. I brought Fiery Convocation, Arcane Unforging, Apotheosis, and the Shield of Sapphire. So, my basic plan here is I'm going to suck the Skaven out of the woods, have them engage in a frontal assault on my infantry line, which I will win because my infantry is better, especially the Swordmasters. Use the Phoenix Guard to take out large units. I have 1 bolt thrower, 1 Eagle Claw bolt thrower, just for a little bit of artillery pressure. I'm hoping to take out the Skaven artillery so that I can reign supreme with this artillery, and in order to do that, I have got 2 units of Illyrian Reaver archers hidden back here in the woods. They are, of course, hidden, so they cannot be seen, unless by some radical misfortune a Skaven unit deploys back here. There's no reason they would do that. And their stats, especially when under martial prowess, are good enough, their melee stats, and their charge bonus is good enough that they can function very effectively as light cavalry to take out artillery, and to some degree skirmishers. They can't take out gutter runners effectively, but they can take out night runners if he's brought any of those. And their stats are good enough they can even cycle charge against Skaven infantry, since Skaven infantry are so weak. Plus, of course, they have a decent missile attack. So, that's my plan. I'm going to draw the Skaven forward, use the Illyrian Reaver archers to sneak up through the woods and take out whatever artillery he has, and then force them to attack me frontally, or I can just shell them with the bolt thrower until I run out of ammunition. My opponent has brought a pretty strong Skaven build, to be honest. He's got 3 units of gutter runners, 2 there, 1 way out here on the flank. I think it's only 3 units. He's mostly in the woods, which makes it hard to count. His main infantry corps is clan rats and clan rat spears, some with shields, some without. He does have 2 units of Skaven slave spears. In the back, he has 2 units of storm vermin halberd, so these are his elite infantry. He has 1 plague claw catapult. Where did the 1 unit of rat ogres for a little bit of armor piercing and monstrous action. More Skaven slave spears. He has a doom wheel. I'm trying to find his doom wheel because I know it's here. Anyway, he has one doom wheel in here somewhere. Oh, is that it? That's it. There we go. There's the doom wheel just ramming up against that tree because screw trees, right? His leadership is Queek Headtaker, and Queek has brought the Dwarf Gouger, Trophy Heads, Stand Your Ground, and Verminous Valor, plus the Warp Shard armor, so he debuffs the armor of everything around him. And he has a Warlock Engineer. He's kept it cheap. The Warlock Engineer has... the Warlock Engineer has Howling Warp Gale, Warp Lightning, and the Warpstone armor, so a Mortis Engine effect. So, his plan clearly is to use the Warlock Engineer to shut down flyers. He's going to use the artillery to bombard me, try to force me out of position, and then overwhelm me with infantry, with Queek probably hunting lords, and the Rat Ogres and the Doom Wheel causing disruption. So at the start of the battle, I'm not moving much. Once again, I'm playing very defensively as High Elves. I think High Elves really lend themselves to playing defensively. And you can play High Elves aggressively, but against the Skaven and with all this cover around, I don't want to push forward. I don't want to fight them there. I want them to come to me. So I'm pushing my chariots forward to do a little bit of scouting, kind of trying to see what he has. He's bringing forward some clan rats. I can't see his gutter runners, of course, because they are stalking. These units are coming over, and most of his army is pushing forward at this point. He can't see most of my units, because most of my units are hidden behind the hill. He can see some of my infantry. He cannot see my archers, or my Phoenix Guard, or my mage. He can see the bolt thrower. And I think that spearman was hidden as well. So I'm pulling down, back further down the hill, in order to hide more of my units. So you can see now I managed to get almost the entire infantry line hidden. Only the bolt thrower and the sword masters and the chariots can actually be seen. So I'm hoping to encourage him to come forward. I can see the Plague Claw catapults because they can't hide in woods. So I do have line of sight to them. He's moving his gutter runners forward to do some scouting. He hasn't still seen my infantry, so he doesn't know exactly what he has. Part of this is, of course, like I said, that I'm trying to pull him out of the woods. The other part is I'm hoping to keep him from noticing that some of my points are missing. If he thinks my whole army is there, he won't be watching for the archers. So we're just kind of posturing right at the moment. The gutter runners are moving around, but now the Plague Claws start coming out of the woods. And he's going to start spotting my units very quickly. So to myself, I'm thinking, okay, he's got a Plague Claw. The Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower cannot win an artillery duel with the Plague Claw. It does have almost enough range to hit them where they are right now, but it won't do enough damage, and they're about to start firing. So the Phoenix Guard are moving over here because I spotted his Doom Wheel moving through the woods. I'm going to start moving my infantry around in a bid to avoid those Plague Claw shots. He does get one nasty hit right there on my Sword Masters, but the Illyrian Reaver archers have now started to move because I suspect, as I'm starting to see movement further over here, I can see the Doom Wheel. I suspect his army is moving away and has left the Plague Claws unguarded, and in any case, I can't sit here and just get bombarded. So I'm taking some counter shots with the Eagle Claw, but look, especially in the woods like this, almost no damage. They really can't function as anti-artillery. They are going to take some shots from the Plague Claws, but the Plague Claws are not very good anti-artillery either, so that's okay. The Tyrannok chariots are moving in, driving the gutter runners back just to push them away to keep him from seeing all of my units. And here comes the cavalry. The charge is incoming, and there is nothing guarding the Plague Claws because the whole Skaven army is starting to come out of the woods. So he only sees the Illyrian Reaver archers then, which is way too late to do anything about it. Maybe if he'd moved these Clan Rat Spears immediately, he could have saved these Plague Claws, but the very first charge just devastates their leadership, and then the second unit piles in to finish the job. So those Plague Claw catapults are wrecked almost instantaneously. He starts to bring his gutter runners over to try and save them, but I desperately need to shatter them. And I'm about to do so. There they go. They're shattered. So now I can pull out. Now I have the only artillery piece on the field. The Doom Wheel is moving in, taking some fire as it comes, but it's distracting all of my archers from the infantry, which is just fine from his perspective. The Bolt Thrower is firing into the Clan Rats just to do some damage. Bolt Throwers are devastating against Clan Rats. And the Chariots, meanwhile, are plowing into the infantry. Skaven Slave Spears, not threatened by them. Clan Rats, definitely not threatened by them. the Tyrannok chariots are already starting to rack up the kills and the damage. Archers, still focusing on the Doom Wheel. It is the most dangerous part of the enemy army. I don't have a whole lot of anti-large, not beside the Phoenix Guard. The Doom Wheel looks like it's going for the Bolt Throwers here, so I'm moving the Phoenix Guard to intercept, and it starts to pull away. It's getting some decent damage done already. Back here, my Illyrian Reaver Archers are just raining fire on the Storm Vermin Halberds from behind, just trying to weaken them before impact. My infantry kind of bunched up here in a way that I didn't quite want. I did drop Arcane on Forging on the Doom Wheel, but in doing so, they exposed my archers. So you can see here, Queek and the Warlock Engineer are swarming past the Phoenix Guard. Over here, these Clanrat Spears get into my High Mage. My archers are doing okay, but like I said, they are kind of a little bit exposed at the moment. They're shooting into the Rat Ogres in an effort to destroy them. But they are getting caught by these Clanrat Spears, so they're going to have to start to run. Over here, my Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower is in combat. He dropped a Warp Lightning there, but I think he pretty much missed. Yeah, it basically missed. My Phoenix Guard were already moving away. My Tyrannok Chariots here have gotten almost routed off by these Gutter Runners, which are very, very good at stopping cavalry and cav-like units. My Mage does get a pretty good cast there. Not perfect, but pretty good. Did a pretty decent amount of damage to both these Skaven Slave Spears, a little bit to the Gutter Runners and the Storm Vermin Halberds, and allowed my Illyrian Reaver Archers to get an okay charge on the Gutter Runners as well. My archers are splitting up here since there's only one unit chasing them. The Phoenix Guard have saved the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers by smashing those Skaven Slave Spears, but they're about to get lightninged. Oh no! Oh, well, that wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been. When they're moving like that, it is so hard to hit them. The High Mage has gotten a respectable number of kills and is now riding the chariot around, driving Queek Headtaker off. The Sword Masters of Hoeth have 0 kills so far. They haven't really gotten into the fighting yet. They've kind of gotten dragged around. My archers are now pouring fire into the Clanrat Spears from 2 separate angles in an effort to break them so that my 3rd unit of archers can get back into the fight. Over here, Tyrannok Chariots running around. My Illyrian Reaver Archers are sitting over here shooting into the melee. These ones have gotten kind of too caught up in melee and got routed off by the Gutter Runners and the Storm Vermin Halberds. They did okay for themselves, though, and they caused a lot of disruption. These Spearmen are finally routing, but they did get 45 kills. I've got some lightning coming in. Yep, right on the Phoenix Guard. That did quite a bit of damage, but not enough. The Phoenix Guard are still going strong. My Spearmen over there are breaking and reforming, coming back. Now the Sword Masters have gotten stuck in where they want to be, and they're doing a ton of damage against these Storm Vermin Halberds. They are taking damage as well, but I did drop an Apotheosis on them, so they're recovering fairly quickly. The Doom Wheel is still going, has quite a respectable number of kills, but it has taken a lot of damage, and with the Archer support, I think this blob is going to resolve pretty quickly. My Tyrannok Chariots are about to go down. They've gotten 72 kills, which is okay, fair enough for what I paid for them. A lot of those kills have been on the Storm Vermin as well. The Sword Masters, kill numbers climbing. My Prince is in here fighting, and he's doing okay. He is getting ramrodded by the Doom Wheel, which is a bit of a problem, so he's going to have to pull out. My High Mage, however, is still very healthy and on a chariot. And the Phoenix Guard are still practically untouched with 95 kills, so they're going to come in to rescue the Sword Masters of Hoeth, who have been terrified by the Doom Wheel. But against the Phoenix Guard, the Doom Wheel will not last all that long. Look at that damage. Wow. I've got some more Clan Rats with shields coming over here to break down my Eagle Claw, and more Warp Lightning dropping on the Phoenix Guard. It's not being very effective, I think because the Phoenix Guard are fairly scattered and kind of intermixed with his own units. That did as much damage to his own Storm Vermin Halberds as it did to my Phoenix Guard. The Doom Wheel is now wavering and about to rout from the combined fire that's been pouring down on it. I think my Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers have actually gotten more kills in melee than anything. The High Mage still very healthy. I did manage to pull my Prince out. He's rallied, well, I say pull out, what I actually mean is he almost got out and then he broke and ran. But he is out here and still alive, so that's good. And now there's a mass rout of all the Skaven units because Queek Headtaker went down to the High Mage. So yeah, yep, and then everything just shatters. So that is the end of the fight there. Overall, that went very well. That said, it was dicey at times. As I've said before, Skaven are actually quite powerful. And it was a little bit tough to hold them back. In this matchup, definitely the key is Chariots, Skirmishers, and Phoenix Guard. Phoenix Guard are fantastic. With that high damage resistance, most of the Skaven infantry is literally worthless against Phoenix Guards. Swordmasters, they're good, they get a lot of kills. They are a little bit more vulnerable because they depend entirely on their armor and high melee defense stats. So armor-piercing hits go right through them. The Storm Vermin Halberd in particular did okay work against the Swordmasters. Not great, not cost-efficient, because they are a Halberd unit, but okay. The Phoenix Guard, nobody did okay work against the Phoenix Guard. They took very, very little damage. The Archers did decently. Certainly about as well as I expected. They were running for quite a bit of the battle, but they still did okay. The Bolt Thrower in this matchup did not perform very well, and that's mostly because I mismanaged its defense. If I had managed to get a solid line established in front of the Bolt Thrower, it could have done a ton of work against this blob of Skaven infantry. But because I was busy managing other things, my infantry kind of broke up a little bit, and so the Skaven player Kit and I managed to slip units through the gaps and get at the Bolt Thrower and get at my archers. And that was a bit of a problem. Now, the infantry blob fight, I won. I won very decisively because none of these units can stand up to high elf infantry units. My spearmen, one of my spearmen units did very, very well. The other two, they did okay, but they did better than the clan rats, except for this clan rat. I think this clan rat caught a fleeing unit and did a bunch of damage to it. But infantry-wise, the High Elves are definitely superior to the Skaven, because Skaven infantry generally isn't all that good. If he brought some Plague Monks, the Plague Monks could have done well, but then he would have had fewer numbers. The Doom Wheel did fantastic, because infantry fights like that are exactly where the Doom Wheel wants to be. It did a ton of damage to my Spearmen. In fact, I think the Doom Wheel alone may have done the majority of damage to my Spearmen. That said, if the Doom Wheel had managed to get around and get at my archers instead of that unit of spearmen, that could have done a lot of good, because my archers came back in the fourth quarter there and did a lot of damage. Likewise, the Illyrian Reaver archers were absolutely key, first for taking out the artillery, and second for providing supporting fire and supporting charges during the melee fight. Tyrannok chariots, good solid work. They didn't have any of those chevrons before they came into the fight, so good going, boys. The Prince on a horse, against the Skaven, I think it's a pretty solid choice, just to kind of keep things cheap and provide some melee punching power. In most matchups, I wouldn't take it. Against the Skaven, I think it might be worthwhile, just because Skaven artillery and ranged power in combination with the Howling Warp Gale makes a dragon such a bad idea. One dragon, at least, is a terrible idea. 2 dragons might work, but that's a huge investment of points. So definitely you don't want to take a dragon. Taking Teclis could work out very well against the Skaven if you can protect him. Tyrion could also work out well because Tyrion is very tough and he does have Sunfang, that breath weapon that does a lot of damage against lightly armored infantry. So Tyrion alone can break up a Skaven blob single-handedly, which is a very useful ability to have. But, so that concludes, I think, High Elf, I won't say week, because it's been like 2 weeks or something, but High Elf examination. My next video on High Elves will be the wrap-up, where I kind of talk about general strategy, and I'll discuss some of the matchups as well. There are a lot more matchups now, since Mortal Empires has come out, so I'll be spending a little bit more time on that part of the video, as opposed to the unit-by-unit breakdown. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to Kit and I for playing this game with me. Good match, dude. You almost got me. I was scared for a while there. And I'd love to see you around on ladder sometime again. Thank you all once again for watching, and have a good one.